these guys: Resistingframe, an amazing Mega Man 6 runner, InfiniteMystery, an amazing everything runner. He plays everything under the sun. He always has fun. It's pretty exciting to see both these guys go.
Yeah, that's pretty much InfiniteMystery in a nutshell. But right now, we already getting ourselves going, and we're starting with Brightman first. Brightman, one of the two starting Robot Masters, along with Pharaoh Man. And InfiniteMystery, unfortunately, taking an early dip into the pit. Not too far off, but still kind of not a good start for Infinite, but very quick to recover.
Yeah, it's a fairly quick death, but man, I hate that pit. I think this jumps harder than, oh man, had another one. I think that jumps harder than Balloon, personally. It's claimed many lives.
Yeah, it's a significantly wide pit for so early in the stage. I know when I was a kid, it was definitely one of my earlier choke points because of how wide it is. But that's not all this stage has. Of course, we're seeing Resistingframe dealing with one of the major RNG components and one of the major lag components as well in these grasshoppers. They can go, they can go either short or they can either go long. Is not one of the things you want to do, but since you're doing Bright first, you really have no choice.
Yeah, no way around it. And those totems cause a bunch of lag, so you want to kill them as quickly as possible. But then that causes more shots, that causes more lag. It's kind of tough to manage all that.
And we got these little moving platforms. It's surprisingly safe as long as you walk alongside of them, as long as it doesn't stop. So if you can just keep alongside them, you're relatively safe. And we got Resistingframe first to go into the Brightman fight. So Otter, if you don't mind, could you tell us about the significance of this Brightman fight?
Yeah, so the Bright fight, he's going to be going in with Buster, and you're going to want to make sure he does not land on 16, 8, or 4 hit points. So we see RF using almost entirely charge shots, except for getting one lemon in there. And so that's just to make sure those damage values are right. If everything goes correctly, you won't see any flashes, and oh, the very last one, that's okay. That's not going to get you flashed. So no worries there, pretty good fight.
Yeah, you can see Resistingframe trying to get to the center of the screen. Of course, Mega Man will always try to move towards the center of the screen. Unlike the previous game in Mega Man 3, you do have movement, so you can position yourself in the center. And what Resistingframe tried to do is get into a position where you can do a fanfare skip, where you can zip straight up to the middle and save a little bit of time from Mega Man's extra jumping animation. So we're going to see if InfiniteMystery can do it as he tries to go through the Bright fight himself, while Resistingframe begins his assault on Pharaoh Man stage.
Yeah, I saw InfiniteMystery started with the lemon, the 1 HP shot, so he's set up fine for damage values, just has to make sure that it's the charged ones, but you also got to be avoiding them. Brightman tries to sit on your head.
Meanwhile, we're seeing the full power of the Flash Stopper as it pretty much just freezes everything in sight. And of course, while he's sliding, you're actually extending the time limit of the Flash Stopper, which normally would be about 5 or so seconds. But every time you slide, you can actually extend the time that the Flash Stopper is active. And of course, we go to Pharaoh Man first for probably the speedrun item in this game, the balloon. Of course, you need a pretty wide jump in order to get it. Of course, we saw Resistingframe just do it perfectly. He has the balloon, and we go straight to the midpoint of Pharaoh.
Yeah, that's one other really nice thing about going Bright first is you have the Flash Stopper. So you've got that little dragonfly moving across the screen, and if you're really unlucky, he'll try and snipe you out of there while doing that balloon jump. If you got Flash Stopper, you can just freeze him, make sure that's not an issue, focus on the jump. But even then, it's a very difficult jump. So you can switch to Rush Coil, but that's of course slow. So it's always a difficult balance between safety and speed.
Yeah, it looks like that's what InfiniteMystery is about to do, is he tried to cross the very treacherous sands, got the Rush Coil ready so he can make this jump, but hopefully this fly will not be in his way.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to reset because it did mess with him a little, but very good. Smart play to just ensure he makes it, because in a race setting, you do not want to go through the whole game improvising strats because you're missing an item.
Well, speaking of trying to improvise, we got Pharaoh Man on Resistingframe's in. You want him to be as close as possible so he can fire a Pharaoh wave shot, and that's the main thing you want him to do, so he doesn't start moving. He's starting to chase him all over the place and just waste time trying to tag him. It looks like he had a very solid fight on Pharaoh Man, so pretty much textbook fight on his end.
Yeah, he handled the couple of jumps that he got really well, but for the most part, Pharaoh was nice to him, and RF took him down pretty quick.
All right, so next up we got Ringman. From this point on, we're going in boss order. So we're gonna have the first part of the stage where you're gonna see a lot of balloon strats. Balloon, like we said, is basically the speedrun item. You can see it. If you think about Mega Man 2, it functions similar to Mega Man 1, but as you saw Resistingframe just do, you can actually wedge it just a little bit into the walls for a few frames, where you can actually stand on it for a little bit and gain an extra jump. And that's pretty much what you're going to see from the balloon in a lot of these stages.
Yeah, it kind of looks like magic, but the hitbox stays before the balloon actually despawns. So it's somewhere in the order of about 8 frames that you've got. So it's fairly quick, but for somebody that's practiced with it, it's pretty consistent. Usually not too much of an issue. And InfiniteMystery just had a really nice Pharaoh fight as well. He kind of kept him right in the middle and just got those charge shots in. And Resistingframe now skipping every mini-boss. We got all the mini-bosses in Ringman stage.
Yeah, but you're going to notice that in order to skip some of these bosses, you're going to take a lot of damage. Ringman stage is one of those stages where in order to go through the stage fast, you're going to have to trade a lot of hits. So you got to be careful about your HP count, because if you've been following the tournament so far, we're going to be repeating some of the same things. And one of the things that we're saying is bosses hit like trucks.
Yeah.
And going through this stage, you got to manage your damage quite a bit. As you can see, Resistingframe taking the ring hits from the Whopper, which is that little ring mini boss, and going to the Ringman fight with quite a stable amount of health. You normally would see lower with some of the a little more expert runners, because if you take hits from Ringman himself and even the rings in some cases, this could be a very dangerous fight. But Resistingframe used the Pharaoh shot and just pretty much just annihilated Ringman.
Yeah, that was just about as close to perfect as you could get. Ringman should be a very consistent boss, but that doesn't change the fact that he moves really fast, and like you said, he hits like a truck. Really all the Robot Masters do. So while a lot of the bosses are pretty consistent, I wouldn't say that any of them are easy, because you get just a little bit off, and now you're taking a lot of damage.
Mystery going through Ringman stage pretty solidly. Starting to use the flash stopper in order to skip the hippos. It's a little bit different from what you would normally seeing. But speaking of flash stopper, Dustman, you're going to be seeing a lot of flash stopper as well. At least that's one of the potential strats. But since we're doing flash stopper, we're going to talk about that. So, of course, you're using flash stopper to hopefully get by this lag room as quickly as possible. As you can see, there are a lot of sprites in this area, and this place slows down to a crawl. But of course, you're dealing with some treacherous platforming, going through all these spikes. All in all, the first half of Dustman can be very treacherous if you can manage your shooting, the lagging. It's just a really cluttered stage.
Yeah, Dustman right up there with Ringman as one of the really dangerous stages. Personally, I always kind of think once you get past Dust, you get to the kind of back half of the Robot Masters, you're kind of in the home stretch. But there's a lot of resets that happen in these first 4 stages.
Yeah, very done with the ring strats. Ring being probably one of the main weapons to use. Well, it's going to be one of the main weapons to use in the entire game. But in relation to Dustman, that's what you're probably going to be seeing. Not only to save a menu, you can't use Buster to get through the debris and the crushers. But if you know how to use Ring properly, not only can you save a menu by sticking with Ring the entire rest of the stage, you can have it just out for Dustman, who we hope to not go all Hoover on us and start sucking on Resistingframe.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye here. I should point out, InfiniteMystery just had a really nice ring fight. By using some of those slightly different strats, I think he did well to make sure he had plenty of health, and then handled Ringman really well. Resistingframe did get some of those sucks though. You could see him avoiding it, probably looking up at his health and saying, "Okay, I can take a hit here." By running your body into him, you can cancel that animation, but you only can do that so many times depending on your health. So he kind of avoided it for a while. Once he got a second one, said, "I'll take the hit," but then was able to take him down.
Answering a question in chat, yes, this is best of one. Every match in the Kalinka Cup are best of one until the tournament finals, which is best 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so really high stakes. Definitely with Classic Mega in general, anything can happen. So it's going to be exciting.
Talking about Skullman stage here, there we go. One of the many uses of the balloon in this stage, which is probably you're gonna see a lot. But yeah, as you can see, zipping in Mega Man 4 is a little complicated. You're gonna need to take damage and have the invisibility frames allow you to get through walls. Because one of the caveats about trying to zip in this stage is that the developers that were working on Mega Man 4 got a little wise to the zipping in their series. So in order to prevent them from zipping, if you get stuck in any part of the foreground while at least using a balloon, you will get crushed. So you got to work your invisibility frames very wisely, and that was what Resistingframe did as he's continuing along Skullman stage.
Yeah, and then it doesn't save a whole lot of time doing that zip, but it saves some, and then you also are set up to be on balloon to do some really slick movement through the stage. However, if you're not careful, you can take a lot of damage doing that. So Frame did really well to keep moving. He didn't take a whole lot of damage going through there. See him stopping to get that last Skeleton Joe. That was really a great stage from Resistingframe.
Now we got 2 simultaneous boss fights on our screen, but since we now seen Skullman, the thing about Skullman is he is a scripted fight. As long as you know how to manipulate him, you can pretty much kill him at any given moment. The only RNG factor is his shield. His shield can last for a short time or can last for a very, very long time. It looks like we got a short shield on Skullman for Resistingframe as he beats him, and InfiniteMystery having a good fight against Dustman as well.
Yeah, not the absolute shortest Skull Shield that was possible, but a pretty short one. Not too much trolling from Skullman, and I don't think InfiniteMystery had any sucks. So both getting pretty good luck. We are just about exactly one stage apart now. That's not a whole lot that's really in the game. We could see that change real quickly if anything happens.
And it could happen in this stage. In Dive Man stage, you gotta be careful about how you move under the water. One of the things about Mega Man 4, especially in water, it's treated as foreground, and as for some odd reason, anytime you're sliding in the foreground, you cannot jump. So in this case, you cannot jump while you're in water, as Resistingframe takes out the first wheel mini boss pretty handily. So knowing how to slide in this stage is a pretty valuable tool in trying to get through Dive Man stage fast.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of folks going through Dive Man sliding in places that you or not sliding in places that you might expect, and that's because having to do those slide cancels is pretty scary, and you're not doing it the whole rest of the game, so you're not used to it. Resistingframe is a very, very good Mega Man 6 runner, though, and in Mega Man 6, you're going to be doing slide cancels all over the place. And so this is a little bit more familiar territory for him. It probably feels a little bit better about this stage than most folks.
So yeah, before we get to the Dive Man fight, I'm pretty sure there are a few people that have wondering why we don't get the wire with Resistingframe skip. It's not useful in RTA setting. For those that are knowledgeable about Mega Man 4, yes, there is a means to skip entire refights with the wire, but it's generally task only and not RTA viable at the current moment.
Yeah, someday someone's going to figure out how to do that, and that'll be an exciting day when wire becomes a viable route, but yeah, has not happened yet. Oh man, RF, when I just glanced up, I couldn't tell how much health he was at, but again, those body hits do a lot of damage. He barely survived, but he did get the animation skip. That's a really nice little trick.
And we saw him I'm not resisting free, but Infinite Mysteries. Then he unfortunately had a pretty lengthy skull barrier, so his RNG on the Skullman fight wasn't the best, but he still was able to kill Skullman very handily. Skullman being a generally simple fight is not hard. Is really not hard to kill him unless just a little careless, but that usually should never be the case.
Yeah, usually not an issue, but anything can happen. RF still going through her quite well. He's going to switch to Bright and use Bright through most of Drillman's stage. Again, this is going to require some of that abuse of not the clock's not counting down when you're sliding, so you got to make sure that your movement's really crisp. And we already see taking some D-boosts, but those are all very planned. So a lot of crisp movement required here because, again, we got spikes everywhere. But the flash stopper is going to at least make sure all those enemies are in place, you know right where they're at, and can take them down.
See if we get a good time stop here. No, he did not. Yeah, for sections like this, you definitely would like to have a good, well-timed time stopper for those shielded cannons. They can definitely just block your way, take damage, and you're gonna have to improvise to try to get through there quickly. Speaking of getting through things quickly, you will hope that if your sliding is good enough in this final stretch, you can get through this area with one good flash stopper. Regardless.
Yeah, that's always the test. It's a great room for practice to see how your movement's coming along. If you can make it all the way in one, you're doing really, really well. Most people need to take one pretty close to where Resisting Frame is. For me, that's always that rock falling down. I want to be on the right side of it, like Frame was. If I'm getting hit by that rock or on the left side, then I know my movement was not very clean.
And Resisting Frame not getting really lucky early as Drillman digs across at least one time, but he's giving him quite a lengthy walk in. He digs around the ground again. So not one of the better RNG fights for, oh boy, Vodka Missiles at it again.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, this drill fight, a lot that can go wrong between boss RNG and your weapon betraying you. We saw both of those from RF. He handled it fine though. Not the worst luck. Would he end up with 2 dives? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was 2 dives.
Yeah, so not terrible, but you don't want to see any.
Just a common courtesy, we do not condone drunkenness in any of our weapons. Always be sure to aim properly and home responsibly.
Take the keys from that missile. All right, so Frame going into Toadman. This is kind of a scary stage. We've got to deal with some weird physics again, kind of like with Dive. We're going to have to do a whole lot of really good movement with Flash Stopper, and there's a lot of small mistakes that can lead to really big time losses with all these pits.
As you can see, you also got to deal with the wind physics for the first part of the stage. But yeah, Toadman stage is kind of an enigma in Mega Man 4. As we all know, Toadman is probably one of the simplest bosses in all of Mega Man history. We're not going to beat around the bush on this one. But for the stage, the first half, especially the first half with the wind physics, trying to make those surprisingly lengthy jumps thanks to the wind push you back. And of course, with going through surprisingly one of the cleanest sewers in all of history, you've got to deal with some very awkward sliding because it acts similar to the water like in Diamond stage. You really have a hard time jumping out of your slides. So knowing how to jump properly is very, very, I won't say difficult, but it's definitely complex. And we have seen quite a number of deaths in those areas.
Yeah, and Resisting Frame just had to kind of take it carefully there on that last snail mini boss. There is a pit there that it just loves to knock you back in as you're trying to skip through, and so Frame actually jumped across it and then came in and did that a second time just to be safe. In a race setting especially, safety is important. There's no worse time loss than a death. And Toadman, though, as you mentioned, easy fight. He got a kill right in the middle. Really good 8 Robos run. He's going to be coming out a little before 1930. That's a great time through 8 Robos.
Meanwhile, I got InfiniteMystery going through his Drillman fight. Of course, we always get our customary dig for Drillman's first action. So we're going to see what the RNG is going to hold for both the
Oh, man.
Drillman and the dive missiles as we get another dig from Drillman.
Yeah, only got one hit in before the dive. You never want to see that, though. Maybe he'll be nice the rest of the way. Just
He's
walking
looking
around.
like it.
Oh, that missile! Oh, those missiles, I tell you what. But finish it off well. Just one dive, no problem.
Literally the drunken uncle of all missiles.
And Resistingframe going into the first of our castle stages, Cossack 1. This is a little bit of a tricky stage for a few reasons as well. You've got some enemies that can hit like trucks, like we just saw with the Slinkies there. You've got ice physics going on now. And we'll see as we get towards the back half of the stage, quite a few pits and various things that can cause some insta-death. So it's a little bit scary of a stage.
Yeah, movement in the spot that Resistingframe is coming up now, it's actually pretty technical, because what you're trying to do, you're trying to continue movement throughout this entire stretch while dealing with up and downs that come out of pits, while trying to perfectly slide through broken down Skeleton Joe, which not Infinite, but Resistingframe did very well, and even got to the spawn trick. Do you think you can try to explain how the despawn trick works, at least in general?
Yeah, so we saw him kind of get towards the end there, and if you were paying close attention, there was a Skeleton Joe that just loves to either hit you out of the air if you're real unlucky, or at the very least get in your way. But by going forward and seeing him and then backing up just so that he's off screen, when you come back through, his sprite will have disappeared. And so then we were able to see Resistingframe use that time to switch to Balloon, which you're going to need to do anyway, and then use the Balloon to jump across. Just saves a little bit of time and gets that guy out of your way, so you don't have to deal with him.
So on Resistingframe's end, we got Matsurize. A relatively simple boss in concept, but the thing is, the hitboxes for the weak spot and unfortunately your weakness, the ring boomerang, kind of makes this a much more complex fight than it needs to be. Fortunately, Resistingframe was able to get his necessary amount of hits very quickly and was able to beat him, and we on our way to probably one of the most technical stages in the entire game, Cossack 2.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what strat he goes with on Cossack 2. There's a lot of different ways to tackle this. I know that Resistingframe in PB attempts will use full balloon strats, and it looks like that's where he's going. But in race settings, I've seen lots of people kind of use some alternate strats or go with Rush Jet. And speaking of Rush Jet, I should point out InfiniteMystery had a really nice strat there in the last screen of Toad, where those fish can jump up and give you a hard time. He played it nice and safe, just went to Rush Jet. That's not something I'd seen before, but that actually makes a lot of sense for safety.
Meanwhile, we're seeing Resistingframe probably going to one of the most dangerous sections of Cossack 2, those dangerous iframe slides across the spikes while utilizing a balloon to get the energy and to finish out the stage. He did it very well, but you gotta always manage your distance and your iframe times in order to make it the full way. It's a place where a lot of runs can easily die, so very well done on RF's end.
Yeah, he just cruised through it, no problem. I also like the in the first room after there, most people just end up taking a D-boost on the spikes as they move around. He used some balloons to get over that, which is going to be nice because he's got not a whole lot of health, but enough for Square Machine that he doesn't need to be super concerned. We do have some RNG here. We got 3 different patterns that Square Machine could give us. And of course, he gets the slowest one because that's the way the game is. But we're gonna hope that he can 2-cycle it, and we hope that he gets a pretty quick pattern on the second one.
Keep tabs on InfiniteMystery as we see the second pass on Resistingframe and worst possible RNG. We got ourselves a 3-3 on RF Sin.
Yeah, worse than average luck. But he did get 4 hits the first time, and there you go, finishes it off. Hey, you 2-cycle it. That's the best you can do. Can't really worry about what the game gives you.
Resisted Frame using the balloons to continue on his ascent towards the end of Cossack 1. Pretty smooth all the way through. He actually was using some bright strats in order to get through the up and downs and the skeleton joes, making sure his trek across the area was as safe as possible, which is pretty good and pretty wise as long as you can just complete the stage without a hitch.
Yeah. Yeah, the important thing is making it through without any deaths. That's always going to be slower than anything else.
So Cossack 3, slowest stage with arguably the best theme in the game. But regardless of the matter, it's a stage that I want to. And there we go. I was about to say it's a stage that's technically a resident sleeper, and yet you shouldn't sleep on it because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because it's an auto scroller, is anytime you take a death here, it's a time waster because you can't really move this stage as fast as you want to. You could probably make it faster by removing a little bit of lag, but each death is very, very costly.
Yeah, it's I mean, to put a silver lining on it, at least that was pretty early in the stage. If you're die right before checkpoint or at the cockroach twins, the boss at the end, then you're losing even more time. But yeah, it hurts. It's real easy to get complacent, to get bored on this stage, and then just make a slight mistake like that. And man, it's rough.
Yeah, but in the meanwhile, this is another stage where you can probably refill on energy. There are quite a number of large weapon capsules, and in this game, several weapons are going to be at a premium. As you can see, Resistingframe decided to get one of the large weapon drops and put it on a ring, and for the rest of the stage, weapons like Green Boomerang, Dust Crusher, even those. And of course, we're going to see a little bit of Feral Shot uses along the way. Those three weapons are going to be very important for the remainder of the game. And trying to manage the weapons, since it's the classic NES Mega, you don't refill weapons in between stages. So trying to manage your ammo count, especially towards the end game, becomes a very important matter as the game progresses.
Yeah, ammo management is extremely important. This game does, of course, have more castle stages than a lot of the others. You're not getting any of those refills. And we've already seen Mothra is weak to ring, Square Machine's weak to dust. We're going to use Pharaoh here on Cockroach Twins, and those three weapons are going to be the ones that we're going to need to make sure that we have enough of to get through the end. They're used a lot.
Didn't quite see the first pass on Infinite. I saw a 2. I couldn't tell if it was a 2 or a 3. But let's see, the second pass is a 3, so it's not good RNG on Infinite's end. Meanwhile, as you can see, Resistingframe is using the Feral Shot, the charged Feral Shot to 2-shot nearly every pass. One of the main special functions on the Feral Shot is that you see the charged shot on its floating around Mega Man's head. As long as you get that shot without firing, you can actually fire 2 charged Feral Shots, or at least get 2 charged Feral Shot hits, and he used it very well against the Cockroach Twins. So very well done for Resistingframe.
Yeah, he had one moment there where he was just standing a little too close to the wall, and so had a Feral Shot that wasn't fully charged hit him. But that was really smart. He saved up and just used the hit above his head at the very end there. You don't lose the ammo on that until you release it, and so by doing that, he made sure that he wasn't losing too much more ammo than usual. He is going to get the extra refill here in Cossack 4 for Pharaoh. With where he was at, he probably could have survived, could have made it, but once you get to Wily Capsule at the very, very end, the last thing you want to see is low Pharaoh ammo. So I think that was probably a good idea, especially in a race setting, to pick up that extra ammo.
Yeah, for Cossack 4 is not... I don't want to say not much of a stage, but it's a very simple stage, very straightforward. The main feature of this stage is that there is 2 directions you can go. Of course, in a speedrun route, you're always going to take the route that Resistingframe is going. The upper route is very long. You got to deal with a lot of up and downs, and you got a whole lengthier traversal until you get to that connection point with the shield attackers. So yeah, you're going to see basically everyone take the lower route if they have the energy to get there. Otherwise, it's pretty much just a straight shot towards the boss of Cossack 4.
Yeah, and so here's our encounter with Dr. Cossack. He's gonna have himself positioned in a big old crane game looking thing, and I believe Resistingframe is playing on the Japanese version. We'll know real quick. Oh no, he is playing on the US version. So the AI is a little bit different between the two versions, and this is the only difference between them, is that Cossack kind of sits there and sits still for a little bit, lets you shoot him, which is nice. And then you can also trick him by sliding at all, but we usually just slide in the corner. Cossack won't do anything, and so Resistingframe had a really great fight, got through that, and now Kalinka, our Kalinka Cup namesake, has been released by Proto Man, who betrayed Wily. That's right. Wily was behind it all along.
InfiniteMystery using dive missile to safely traverse the rest of Cossack 3 on his way to the Cockroach Twins. It's always good to see different runners have different strats for different areas. Dive missiles for taking out the Saturn Seekers on the way here is something you really don't see very often. It's just kind of refreshing to see so many different strats utilized in certain areas depending on the runner that's playing.
Yeah, I had never seen dive missile used there. Dive missile is one that you are not going to really need to worry about for ammo, so that totally makes sense, and we'll take care, as long as they're not drunk, we'll take care of those enemies for you. And he handled Cockroach Twins very nicely as well, so that was very nice to see. And that's been the fun thing about this whole tournament, I think, is seeing so many different runners and the slight kind of differences in strats. You really get to see the personality coming out in the runner. It's fun.
Meanwhile, we got Resistingframe going to Wally 1, seeing the Met family plumbing service as he pretty much all over the place taking care of the little leakage that's in Wally's toilet or bathroom, or whichever you want to call it, since that's where we're going with this entire tournament. But yeah, the main feature of Wally 1 is there are literally Mets everywhere. Every kind of Met that you see in this game, you're going to see it here. And you're going to pretty much just need to just manage your movement and your shots in order to get by every single Met and every single platform and obstacle as cleanly as possible. Even these Yoku block sections where you see Resistingframe use the rush jet to get by them very cleanly. However, that's, of course, since we got Mets all over the place, you know the obvious boss is going to be here. So, our boss in this stage, as RF gets his weakness ready, we got ourselves a big old Met.
Giant Met. This is a kind of an awkward boss fight too, because there is some RNG in how he moves, but then you also kind of need to deal with making sure that you're off the ground when he lands. He will kind of freeze you for a second, and you want to get some large openings with long jumps. And RF didn't get the greatest luck there, but he also missed a couple hits. You want to do a 3 cycle if you can. He had to wait for him to open the second time, but still pretty quick fight. Not too bad there.
InfiniteMystery about to get ready for his Cossack Catcher fight. Decides to jump in just to get a little closer to him, but yeah, the same thing applies. As long as you're sliding along the walls, you can trick Cossack into not doing anything as he's supposed to be attacking. So as long as InfiniteMystery continues manipulating Cossack as he is right now, this should be a relatively easy fight.
Yep, doing pretty well. Cossack does do a lot of damage if he grabs you, so you got to be a little careful, but we saw them both play it right. And you do see InfiniteMystery is on the Rockman 4 version, so at the beginning of that fight he moved right away. He did just save some time that you couldn't even tell the difference. The Japanese text is about 30 frames faster, so about half a second faster. Oh, Resistingframe getting the wrong way doggo. There we go.
Russ is a good boy sometimes. But speaking of which, this is pretty much gonna be Rush Jet the stage. They're gonna be using Rush Jet not only as a flying utility, but also using it as a platform utility. because for the most part, you're going to be dealing with some pretty high ledges, well, at least high enough that Mega Man just simply can't jump up. So we're going to be using Rush not only to negate menu times, but we also don't have Balloon at this point. We pretty much used up all the Balloon and the Cossack stages. So this is Rush just time to shine, as it's used for platforming, getting over pits, and of course, as long as Rush Jet out is going to be our weapon of choice, as we're going to be using Pea Shooter throughout the entire stage. So right now we're seeing Resistingframe pretty much doing some textbook Wally 2 maneuvering as he switches to Toad for an interesting strat that's coming up. Would you like to do the pleasures, Otter?
Yeah, so we did see him switch to Toad, and then he just he didn't use it to take out that gumball machine. He's going to shoot it off right there as he comes through the room. And by having all those raindrop animations on the screen, it's just going to skip the refill for the boss. And if you've been watching us this whole race or any of the others, you know those health refills take a long time to fill up. So skips that, switches to Drill, and then uses Drill because the explosion can actually destroy the hitbox for Taco Trash there. So then you can just stand right inside, get to Ring, which is the weakness. Again, we're using lots of Ring, and take him down. Nice and easy like that.
So, as Resistingframe comes up on Wally 3, this is our general refight stage. But before we can do that, we do have some goodies that are along the way that you can use to refill whatever weapons you choose. Of course, since this is a speed run and we do have specific weapons that we are going to be using, we're going to be focusing on refilling them. As you can see, Resistingframe opted to mostly go for Ring. He didn't get much on Dust, but well, we're going to see what happens because we're going to be using Dust on a couple of bosses. This has a very complex boss route as far as how to go through them fast. So, assuming that we're going to be sticking to that, we're actually going to be starting with Pharaoh first.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about his dust ammo. He got that refill of Pharaoh in Cossack 4, and so you know he's good on Pharaoh. We saw him top offering, but he's going to use dust on both Pharaoh Man and Skull Man. And the reason we're using it on Pharaoh is it's actually a soft weakness. It does only 2 damage, which isn't amazing, but it's a whole lot quicker than going with the Charge Buster. He realized he was going to be a little off. He had missed 2 shots there, so wanted to play it safe, just switched to Buster. He loses the time on the menu, but that's a whole lot better than running out. I would much rather do Pharaoh with Buster than be doing Skull with Buster.
See InfiniteMystery taking out the Med Daddy on his end on his way to Wally 2. Resistingframe getting some unfortunate shots on Skullman, but he still had more than enough to finish him off. But now we're gonna go to our second little weakness phase. So for Dive Man, we're gonna be using Skull. We did it the first time, but however, after he beats Dive with Skull, we're actually gonna keep Skull for the next fight, which is gonna be Bright Man. And for this, it's important because we're still trying to keep off those warning health values for Bright, so he doesn't freeze the screen and keep Mega Man in place. So what Resistingframe is trying to do, he's gonna plug 5 Skull Barriers to hopefully get them to the right values, and then from there use Rain Flush in order to finish them off. And from there, we're actually going to be using, we should have 1 Rain Flush left, and we're going to be using it for another boss fight.
Yeah, he did that really well. Got those hits in. Just needs to avoid Brightman's attacks, and then we're using it here to avoid exactly, if I remember correctly, what we saw happen to InfiniteMystery, where if you use Dive Missile all throughout Drill Man, oh, and we got Drunk Missiles again. If you use the missiles throughout there will be a point where Drill Man ends up with 1 HP, and so by hitting him with that Toadman's weapon while he's underground, that'll do the 1 HP, and then you're set up for even value. But if he keeps diving like this, you can't do anything. You just gotta wait. Oh, man.
Yeah, not quite the best of Drill Man fights. Drill Man's giving them the business. Our vodka missiles had one specific one that was all over the place. Not the best of Drill Man's fight, but what's he gonna do? Resistingframe just had to take what he's got. And speaking of what he's got, he got Drill Bomb. So we fight probably the most non-existent boss in the game.
Yeah, get to have a little break while Toadman dances, and you just blast him with the drill bombs. This ring refight is a little bit interesting because you can't get your Pharaoh shot charging before the fight like you do in the normal Ringman fight. So it ends up being a very similar fight, except then you've got to hit him with that little one at the beginning. And normally you just go with a small shot, an uncharged shot, but RF really making sure his ammo's good. Hits him with the one above his head, so again, he doesn't have to spend any ammo.
So we got our Dustman rematch, and already he's going full room, but just
oh man,
three of them right off the bat. This is not what I want to see him do. 4 sucking animations.
Dustman, why are you like this? Just so he's just gonna go straight to the E-tank now. You know, that's not a bad idea. So that you don't really have to worry about it during the fight. Man, Dustman just not being cool.
And of course, since we still got our killer bling, the ring boomerang, we're gonna use that as yet another weakness for another Wily boss. This time it's the first phase of the Wily machine. So of course you're gonna get into specific health values, but when he's at 1 unit left, switch to drill, and just like with the rain flush in the taco trash fight, hit him at the very last moment so we can skip the refill animation, and we're going to be using the explosions of the drill bombs to take out the second phase, which Resistingframe was able to do. So pretty solid fight overall. Pretty solid.
Yeah. Fight. Yeah, we saw one of the kind of rare things that's never fun to see with Resistingframe. In between those two parts of the fight, there was one of those big pink Hadoukens coming at him, and right as the refill skip happened, then came back in, and that shot actually hit him and did some damage. But luckily he had used that E-tank. Damage wasn't really a concern. So now he's just got a little hallway filled with caterpillars and then our Wily capsule. So this has been a really good run for Resistingframe.
In our Wily Castle, starting our tradition of hide-and-seek Wilies that traverses throughout most of Mega Man final boss battles. So he's going to equip the Pharaoh shot, in which he has plenty of. So we're going to be hoping that he's going to be in good positions to do double hits. Of course, with the charged Pharaoh shot, we're going to hope that he's in a position where we can get one shot that's on the head and then release another 4 shots so we have double hits.
Yeah, he got a double hit there, though. It wasn't with a charged one. So, yeah, so he's just a little off now, 2 HP. But there it is. No problem. GG to Resistingframe. Great job.
Finishing with an official SRL time of 42 minutes and 4 seconds. Very well done by Resistingframe as he moves on to the Kalinka Cup.
Yeah, that's a great run. His PB is in the high 40s. I don't know the exact seconds, but he's just about a minute off PB with that, which is always a good run. That's a great race time. All right, and I am going through his refights here. We just saw the same kind of skull shield strat going into Bright, and now he's using Rain Flush again. Very nice. Let's see if Drillman can be a little nicer to him.
And the digs began. Right now, I believe that was still the first unintentional dig, but
there's 2.
Yeah, I think there is.
Oh, and drunk missiles, man, we've seen a lot of those today.
Yeah, so tell me, I want to make sure I get this correct. There is a slight correlation between Drillman's dies and the distance that Mega Man's in.
I have heard that. I know with Pharaoh Man, the closer you are, the more likely it is to do the charge shot rather than jump, though it's not 100%. We know with Skullman there's some manipulation. I've heard that with Drillman you want to be closer to him, but I don't know if I've ever seen any numbers on it or anything like that. So I don't want to say that is for sure the case, but I think you're correct. Can also be kind of tough to do though, because Drillman is one that you never know if he's going to jump or run at you, and of course when he's coming up out of the ground, you want to hop out of the way. So it can be a fine line between being close but not right on top of him.
Just checking a few things behind the scenes right quick before moving on. But yeah, looks like we have Infinite Mystery still trucking along pretty solidly. Reminder, his PB is around 49 minutes. Not sure what kind of pace he's in, but looks like he's still doing pretty well. I'm hoping he's still possible on being on PB pace at this current juncture, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's definitely on pace for a possible PB. And I should have mentioned when we were talking about boss RNG, Dive Man's another one. He does the same thing if you do the same thing. And so Infinite Mystery, I think, just got a little bit too far away from him, which causes him to shoot those missiles rather than come shooting like a missile himself. And so that's where he ran out of skull barrier. He got a little too far away and used his skull shields to block the missiles, and then ran out of them for actually doing the hits.
So Infinite pretty much got his ring boomerang set up and gonna do the usual typical fight with our best sound in the world before switching to drill. No, yeah, there we go.
Okay, yeah. Oh. Menu boss, artist boss. There we go. Oh, yeah, he kind of got the same thing. Got hit just coming out of there. He's okay. I'm gonna say pretty low. Not something that you probably could avoid, but man, it'd be nice to just use that E-tank. Not have to worry about it. Love that.
Reminder that one of the functions that some of us didn't learn when we were children, that the drill bomb does explode when you press the fire button again, so you can make it explode a little earlier. If the drill bomb itself hits the machine, it will tank off. So we're definitely focused on explosion damage here.
Yeah, and that's kind of tough to do sometimes because you're trying to manage jumping around all those Hadoukens coming at you, but then also blowing up the drill before it hits, but also close enough it does damage. It can be kind of a hectic fight there.
So yeah, Infinite's actually on pretty decent pace here. It looks like he got quite a bit of feral energy to work with. He decides to use the flash stopper so he can just ignore all these caterpillars. Well,
yeah.
most of them.
Yeah, just gonna slide under him. That's not a bad strat. Again, just kind of adds the menu, but not a big deal. Get him switched over to Pharaoh and hope that we get some good bonds. Well, that one's not very nice.
Got us as a good one
double.
right there.
That's nice. Ooh, health. Okay, yeah, going for the E-tank again. Yeah, those little projectiles from Wily do a ton of damage, and you're really focused on making sure you get your hits in, and so it can be tough to dodge them and do that. Oh, there it is. Perfect. What was that finish? 47-23. It might have been even a little before that. That's got to be a new PB. I believe 49 was.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a PB. He decided to split early and focus on that. His SRL time is 47:33, but that doesn't matter. That is still most definitely a PB on Infinite Mystery Zen. And Spada coming in second, he still comes out as a winner in his own right. Pretty much, I want to say that's close to definitely around a 2-minute PB, most definitely.
Yeah, assuming if Mega Man Leaderboards is up to date, it was a 49-44, and so going down to a 47, like I said, 23, something like that. More than 2 minutes saved. That's an amazing PB. Amazing job by both these runners. Really, really great showing. I'm gonna see if they'd like to join us and say a couple words. I think Resistingframe's gonna be able to hop in.
Yeah, look like we got him in right now. Resistingframe, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Well done, man. So, give me your overall thoughts. How'd you feel about that run?
I gotta stop dying on that I was too busy playing Musical Busters on Cossack 3.
I had a feeling that might have been what it was. We were talking about the complacency. You're just kind of chilling, and then something happens.
Yeah, I was trying to get too much into the rhythm, and then before you knew it, I forgot where my place was, and I think I took a lemon, and then I just fell to my death.
Yeah. But still with that, finished right about a minute behind PB, right? That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I just been having bad RNG lately. Like every time I feel good about a run, like Drill Man comes into play, Dust Man comes into play, Square Machine comes. Like it's just like they all just try to hold me down.
Dustman at the end of refights there, that was cruel. I don't think that should be allowed what he did to you.
Yeah, it was. I had to take. I mean, who takes an E-tank on Dust Man? Like, I was.
That did seem like a great way to handle it. But I felt like I could see the internal struggle when he was just doing those sucks over and over about whether you wanted to hit him and take the damage or just lose the time. It's always tough.
Yeah, it was definitely a hesitation there, but I just decided to just take the hit and then use the E-tank.
Hello.
Hey, there's Infinite Mystery. GG. Very good run.
I got lucky. Congrats, Resistingframe.
Good job on your PB.
Thank you. I don't know how it happened from what happened.
Yeah, that we were talking about how awful that jump is, that second pit in Bright. I think it's harder than balloon jump. And it got you a couple times, but then you had a really good 8 robos from that point on.
Yeah, it's gonna take some figuring out to figure out. It's gonna take some doing to improve this.
Yeah, that was. And remind me, when you started the qualifying heats last week or whenever that was, what was your PB at then? Because you've gotten
54:30.
Nice. So yeah, taking it down about 7 minutes in the past week or two.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. What was for both of you guys? Were there any moments where you were really kind of freaking out, or kind of had to do some improvisational work to deal with what the game was giving you?
Well, for me, it's just going. I was trying to be a little bit more safer than usual because there's just a lot of, like you said, a lot of jumps that are just a little bit tricky. I know there's some jumps in Skullman, there's some jumps in Drill that get you, So it's just I was just being a little bit safe throughout the race.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Probably the drill refight.
Yeah. Yeah, you got quite a few dives, 3 or 4, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Angelia's not being nice to you.
Not at all.
Well, you guys both kind of handled some bad RNG from bosses, some tricky moments pretty well. It was really fun to watch.
I can't wait to go back and look at it.
So let's give a quick little programming update. With that win, Resistingframe, you're advancing. You're going to be taking on Stunt Rooster in the next round. Were you able to catch Stunt Rooster in Brasswolf's match, or have you seen any of Stunt Rooster's runs?
No, but now I'm gonna head to the lab and check out some runs.
Yeah, I think that'll end up being a pretty fun race. That's moving into the top 8. So GG's, congratulations on that.
Thanks. We're gonna keep moving on.
We do also, for our very last match of the Kalinka Cup schedule, we've got Guy Next Door 717 coming up against Jorge Paulers. That's gonna actually move us over to SpeedGaming 2, and they should be kicking off kind of any minute now. So if you want to check out the Mega Man 4 races some more, head over to SpeedGaming 2. If you want to check out some Link to the Past randomizer, I believe that's what's coming up next year on SpeedGaming. So lots of good stuff, lots of action to keep you entertained all night.
Yeah, but not only that, in a couple of hours from now, we actually do have another Mega Man 4 tournament match as well, a Cossack Cup matchup at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight between Metal Flows and Arl. So stay tuned for that. So once again, the Mega Man 4 tournament just keeps on rolling today and tonight. So, and we don't necessarily have. Let me refresh. We don't necessarily have a channel prepared for that yet, but stay tuned to the Speed Gaming chain of networks to make sure that you catch all the action as it comes. But yeah, we're pretty much running on time here as our LTTTP, our link to the past random runners are ready to go. So I think we should go ahead and just cut off here. So for Infinite Mystery and Resisting Frame, once again, congratulations to you two for a very fine race. To Mr. Otter for being my co-commentator, very well done. Very nice to work with you.
Thank you guys very much. That was a lot of fun.
It's a pleasure, guys.
Thank you very much.
And this is LV Creed telling you to keep your eye on Speed Gaming for all your tournament racing needs. And this is us signing out. See you next time, everyone.